Sometimes God chooses people who don't feel ready, people who feel overlooked, people who believe they are too weak, too small, or too ordinary. That's exactly where Gideon was. When God came looking for Gideon, he didn't find a warrior. He found a man hiding from fear, hiding from enemies, hiding from the belief that he could ever be enough. Gideon was threshing wheat in a winepress, a place meant for hiding, not harvesting. And right there, in the middle of his fear, God spoke words that didn't match his reality. "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." But Gideon didn't feel mighty. He felt small, insignificant, overlooked, and he said what many of us have said in our own hearts. "How can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest, and I am the least." But God wasn't asking Gideon to be strong. God was asking him to trust. Then Gideon asked for signs. Not once, not twice, but again and again. And God did not turn away, because God is not threatened by your questions. He is patient with a heart that wants to believe. Then came the battle, an enemy too large to count, and an army that felt finally sufficient. But God said, "You have too many men," not because they weren't capable, but because if they won that way, they would forget who delivered them. So God reduced the army from thousands to hundreds to 300 until fear had nowhere to hide and faith had nowhere else to stand but on God alone. With no swords raised, with no strength to boast about, only obedience, trumpets, clay jars, torches, and when Gideon obeyed, confusion struck the enemy. Victory fell without a fight, because the battle was never about numbers. It was about who God was fighting for. Here's the lesson. God calls people who feel unqualified. God uses faith that feels fragile. God removes what you rely on, so you learn to rely on Him. If you feel weak, you're not disqualified. If you feel afraid, you're not forgotten. If you feel small, you're exactly who God looks for. Because when God wins through you, there's no doubt who gets the glory. Not your strength, not your ability, but His power. And that's how God turns fear into faith and ordinary people into instruments of victory.